Okay, business leaders, are you here to play or are you playing to win? If you're in it to win, meet your next MVP. NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is your full business management system in one convenient suite. With NetSuite, you're running your accounting, your finance, your HR, your e-commerce, and more, all from your online dashboard. Upgrade your playbook and make the switch to NetSuite, the #1 cloud ERP.
Get the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/tech. netsuite.com/tech.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Aw, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Ever wonder what your lashes are destined for? The cards have spoken. Maybelline New York Mascara does it all. Whether you crave fully fan lashes with Lash Sensational, big, bold volume from the Colossal, a dramatic lift with Falsies Lash Lift, or natural-looking volume from Great Lash, your perfect lash future awaits. Manifest your best mascara today. Shop Maybelline New York and discover your lash destiny. Shop now at Walmart.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, April 11th, 2025. It's difficult right now to find actual tech news among the speculation and confusion, but I think we have found some things that can help each other understand.
Today, Mallory O'Mara and Brea Grant tell us about reading tech and more from your emails.
I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Huyen Dow.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. Microsoft Recall is rolling out in release preview for Windows insiders. If you have a Copilot Plus PC, this means it's about to be available to everyone. This is the last thing you do before you just launch it for everyone. Folks expect that it might just launch for everybody in May. Recall, if you missed it, is that feature that uses your neural processing unit, hence the need for a Copilot Plus PC, to capture screenshots of your work, put them in a searchable database, and use visual algorithms to find information for you about pretty much anything you did on your Windows machine. Either super useful in helping me find what I did that I forgot, or super creepy. Please don't do that to me, depending on who you are. Also let you browse through a timeline of everything you did. I think people forget that. You can just manually go back as well. It was supposed to launch last year in June, but folks objected to some of the ways it handled security, especially because it relied on existing disk encryption rather than separately encrypting the screenshots. The concern there was like, well, if somebody gets into your machine without your credentials, then they can get all those screenshots. The first preview was finally made available in November, and now we know how Recall is going to work. The security seems pretty good. Recall is now opt-in, meaning even when you get it, it won't run unless you go turn it on. You will have to verify your identity with Windows Hello every time you access it. That's because it's now encrypted separately from the rest of your hard drive. You can delete any snapshot you want. You can pause screenshotting anytime. You can also uninstall it entirely if you just don't like the idea of it sitting there on your hard drive at all. And it never has, but it's worth repeating that it does not upload screenshots to cloud services. This is a local service. I thought some of the reactions to Recall were an overreaction that were just based on general dislike of Microsoft, but there were some legitimate security issues as well. And I had those, especially with a service that collected so much data about you. So I'm glad that they have addressed some of these. Some of the objections amount to, I just don't trust Microsoft when they say they're not putting it in the cloud. So I don't think those people are ever going to be satisfied. But by all accounts, this is a useful service, and security audits seem to think it's as secure as a service like this is going to get. It's on device. It's protected by your Windows Hello account. If someone gets your account credentials, they could get into it. But if someone gets your account credentials, you got big problems anyway. Huyen, what do you think? Do you trust this enough? Would you use it?
I would. Now, I totally understand. I think that I have the same unfortunate, being a person who has been in computing for several decades now, I understand maybe what is the opposite of sheen around Microsoft? The anti-sheen.
Yeah.
The anti-sheen around Microsoft at times.
The lurid
Patina?
glow? I don't know.
I like lurid glow a lot better. I understand the lurid glow around Microsoft. And it's interesting because, like, for example, with pixel screenshots, which is a not too dissimilar feature of like being able to like visually search your screenshots on, say, an Android Google device. I have less, I probably should, but I have my own bias where I kind of accepted that more readily than reading this for the first time or hearing about recall for the first time. But they've done everything that I think we can ask of a company. It's on, as you said, on device. Security audits seem to think it's as secure as it's going to get. And they put in all these options that normally we'd like to see, opt in, being able to pause it, being able to get rid of it completely, being able to, very fine-grainedly control the data, like delete and screenshots as you want. So I would use it. I would definitely use it. I think that it's a really interesting use of the technology that we have now with AI and visual search. And I think that there's been so many days in my computing life where I've lost data, I've lost information. And as a developer, I can understand how difficult it would be for every single program on my device to be able to implement and store and properly do backups and history. So I think this is, in theory, a really, really good service. And they've pretty much supplied everything that we could ask for. So I would use this. I would totally use this.
It feels like there's just an emotional reaction to recall.
Yes.
Like some of the reviews I've read are like super useful, still creepy. Like there's just that feeling of like, I know it's only spying on me for me. And even people who are like, I'm fairly certain that, this is well audited and it's not leaking out to anyone else, but it just feels weird that it can find out that much about you, probably because there's something psychological about telling a machine to find out something about you and having the machine say, I found it, as if another entity knows something.
Yes. That's a really good point. And maybe that's one of those interesting side effects that we're having now with this presence of chatbots and Gen AI that people like the conversational aspect, the fact that they are human, like, is such a feature. It is a feature for pretty much every incarnation of this chatbot across all the companies. But as you said, now that it's kind of, instead of looking at the vast ocean of data out in the world, if it's when it's turned back on us, the abyss is now staring back at us, or the void rather, and we're not comfortable with it, which I totally get. Like, as I said, I had a similar reaction, but to be fair, I think it's a good feature and it's been audited. So yeah, it's personal.
When I try to take the emotion out of it, the one thing that I could see is if you're in a particularly sensitive role, you're like high government security, spy, industrial trade secret kind of stuff, there is a slight increased risk that there would be information collected by this that would be unavailable in another way if someone got into your account credentials. Now, granted, if someone's in your account credentials, you have a world of other problems as well. And they're going to be able to find out a lot more about you than even is recorded by this if they have your account credentials. But there would be some things in here that would benefit a malicious actor. But for the vast majority of us, I don't know how many nines it is, but above 99% of us, there's not much additional risk to collecting this on device over if someone were to get into and have access to my Microsoft account, what else they could find about me.
Absolutely. And I would hope that if any organizations, whether it's government or even financial, that they would disallow use of this feature on managed devices and managed software.
Just
So
uninstall it. Yeah.
Just don't use it. Just don't use it. Or just don't use it.
Yeah.
Always the answer.
I'm sure there might be a secure way to use this with like some kind of I don't know, some kind of extra encryption or deletion, automatic deletion upon, tripwire kind of stuff. In fact, if there's some security pros in the audience that are like, yeah, this is the line, this is who shouldn't use it, this is how it could be used, even in sensitive situations, let us know. Feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Well, DTNS is made possible by you, the listener. Thanks to Philip Less, Howard Yermish, and John Atwood. And welcome, everyone, new patron, Andre.
Yay, Andre!
Yay! Welcome.
There is a growing expense eating into your company's profits. Your cloud computing bill. What if you could cut your cloud bill in half and improve performance? Well, if you act by May 31st, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help you do just that. OCI is the next generation cloud designed for every workload, where you can run any application or AI project faster and more securely for less. This half-off offer is only for new U.S. customers with a minimum financial commitment. See if you qualify at oracle.com/dailytech. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states. Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
At 1-800-Flowers.com, we know that connections are at the heart of being human. Whether celebrating life's joys or comforting during tough times, 1-800-Flowers helps you express what words can't. For nearly 50 years, millions have trusted 1-800-Flowers to deliver thoughtful gifts that help create lasting bonds. Because it's more than just a gift. It's your way of showing you care. Visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST and connect today. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
There is still more that can help us understand things today. Let's get to the briefs.
Well, first, we've got some news in the world of surprise, surprise, generative models. A changelog posted Thursday indicates that starting April 30th, OpenAI will fully replace GPT-4 with GPT-4o, which is the current default model for ChatGPT. GPT-4 will remain available in the API. Between now and then, OpenAI is expected to launch GPT 4.1, GPT 4.1 Mini, GPT 4.1 Nano, as well as the O3 and O4 mini models. OpenAI is also adding the option for ChatGPT to remember all your previous conversations, not just the one in your session. And you can turn it off in settings if you want. The feature arrives first for $200 a month Pro subscribers and will soon come to Plus subscribers. And on the Google side of things, video generator VO2 has begun rolling out to some Google AI Studio users in the US. You can produce up to 8 seconds of video at 720p and 24 frames per second for 35 cents per second.
WhatsApp always has rumored features and features you find in the code. So it's kind of fun when they make an official announcement and announce things you can use right now. Among them are an online indicator of how many people, though not who, are active in a group chat. So you can see, like, are there a bunch of people around? A setting that lets you choose to receive highlights instead of all your notifications. So mentions, replies, messages from saved contacts, etc., aka not spam. You can now create events in one-on-one conversations on WhatsApp. You can now tap on a reaction to add your own or just +1 the existing emoji. Video calling gets reliability improvements, and channel admins can now share 60-second or shorter video clips, generate unique QR codes for sharing, and offer transcripts of voice messages.
Well, Razer launched Razer RC Remote Play, its platform for streaming games from PC to mobile devices. It works for Windows 11, iOS 18, and Android 14 or later. You need to install the Razer Cortex Game Launcher on your PC and download the Razer PC Remote Play and Razer Nexus mobile apps on your phone. It works with Steam, Epic Games, and Microsoft's PC Game Pass, and a few more. Now that it's out of beta, it includes the AV1 codec and support for more controllers.
That's fun. More remote play options, I think is good. I think people like to take advantage of this even more so than cloud gaming. I think more people are like, yeah, I own the game on my PC and I want to play it on my mobile device. That's cool.
Oh, yes. No, we have all of the remote play options in my house, and we're probably going to be getting this one.
A couple of tariff stories worth noting. We were trying not to overload you with these because there's a lot that is just not known, but these are pretty solid. The Chinese Semiconductor Association announced Friday that U.S. chip makers that make chips in China will be exempt from Chinese tariffs, which might seem obvious, but don't forget, China considers Taiwan part of China, and U.S. companies that make chips in Taiwan were like, if they're coming across the strait, does that count as an import? And the answer is no. They will be treated as coming from Taiwan, and China has tariffs on the U.S. That may seem obvious, but some people were worried about that. Chips made by companies with U.S. fabs, though. So if you're Intel or Texas Instruments, you will have to pay China's import tariff. Reuters reports that the European Union and China are discussing setting minimum prices on electric vehicles in order to eliminate tariffs on EVs coming into the EU from China. So that doesn't even involve the United States. A little side conversation going on there. And shipments of 7 rare earths placed on an export control list by China have ground to a halt as of April 4th. Exporters must get a license from China if they want to export any of these rare earth minerals that are essential to making a lot of electronics. And apparently, coincidentally, that license is estimated to take about 2 months to obtain, which just happens to be about the average length of stockpiles of manufacturers outside of China. What a coincidence, Huyen.
What a coincidence. Well, a couple of stories about autonomous taxi company Waymo today. Market analytics firm Yipit Data, which analyzes customer seats, estimates about 20% of rides offered by Uber in Austin, Texas, are operated by driverless Waymo cars. Waymo rides are available exclusively through Uber in Austin, and Waymo will begin testing rides in Tokyo next week with cars that have human drivers in order to map the area for a future driverless car service there.
I mean, yeah, autonomous cars are just creeping slowly forward, but 20%, that's quite a big amount. And I think it shows Waymo the advantage of partnering up with Uber, right? Waymo operates on its own in San Francisco and Los Angeles and other markets. They partner up with Uber in Austin. And then suddenly people are like, well, I'm just using Uber to book a ride. Oh, cool. I got a Waymo ride. I wonder if that will encourage them to do that more often elsewhere.
I think it makes a lot of sense. That number 20% absolutely surprised me. Like that honestly was shocking because I feel like I've seen a couple posts where a friend happened to get in the back of a car and, and I forgot what service it was, but, they were in a Jaguar and it happened to be like driverless. And like, that's really neat. It feels like a niche, like cute little experience that happens to people in San Francisco, but 20% in Austin. Good job, Waymo.
Yeah, absolutely. And then coming to Tokyo, which Uber has a presence there. It's not as wide. So it'll be interesting to see if Waymo partners up with Uber there, or maybe Waymo partners up with Go or S-Ride or one of the other Tokyo services. But it would be interesting. It's going to take a while, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bloomberg has written up LG and Samsung's home appliance subscription service in South Korea. For a monthly fee, you get the latest home appliances from the companies. So if you're on the LG plan, it's all LG, obviously. Samsung, it's all Samsung. But you can swap them out for new ones whenever you feel like it. Also includes regular maintenance as part of the subscription plan. So it keeps things working in tip-top shape. And Samsung's more recently launched subscription, which just started at the end of last year, includes Galaxy phones. You can get the Galaxy S24 as part of your rental package.
Well, Canva is launching the Visual Suite workspace tool, or workplace tool rather, that combines its design and productivity tools in one interface. It includes Canva Docs, Canva Whiteboards, Canva Code, and Canva Sheets, so you can build and edit documents, presentations, and websites in one tool. It, of course, includes a chatbot. The Canva photo editor also gets the ability to automatically modify or remove background objects, accounting for lighting and layout.
I know Canva's super popular as a design tool. I don't know what to make of their move into productivity, whether that's genius because people using the design tool will just automatically want to use that or not. I don't know what your take is on it.
Okay, so not for Canva, but when I worked at a lot of the big corporations I've worked at, people end up using Figma for design, and Figma also similarly has both like design and productivity tools. Mm-hmm. And so we end up actually using Figma for a lot of productivity. So retrospectives, and there was one hilarious retrospective where the manager that led the not his written exercise, but like kind of like a standard quote unquote exercise for the company that had to do with relating our recent project to a boat, and what were the anchors, and what was the sun, and what were the winds that were blowing this project forward. That was all done in Figma. So that was all done in Figma, and actually that was kind of like a mix of like the productivity and design tools. So I can only guess that if Canva is very analogous to Figma and has its own productivity tools, I am not surprised. I am really not surprised. And a lot of times on kind of brainstorm meetings, you do kind of have a mix of like, what are we designing, but also what are the action items, more project management side of it. So for better, for worse, I totally get this.
Because it's there, right? So you don't have to switch out to something else. You're just like, well, I might as well use it. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and especially if there's going to be like, building of websites and stuff, you can put, if Canva code is included in there too, then heck, you just start building a prototype for it.
Yeah, right.
Vibe all the things.
Smart. Okay, I'm convinced. Good work, Canva. I feel optimistic for you now. The New York Times sources think they have found out when Apple will launch the improved version of its voice assistant that was supposed to come with iOS 18. New York Times says autumn, at least for some features. They're talking about things like editing a photo and sending it to a friend on request. You can say, edit this photo and send it to a friend. That should happen in autumn, which by autumn will probably be iOS 19. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman still says the full suite of features won't launch until 2027. So even in autumn, you're not getting everything that Apple has ever talked about. The Times also reported that in 2023, Apple's CFO reduced CEO Tim Cook's budget for chips, saying just make the existing chips more efficient. And that may have caused some of these delays because Apple is using far fewer chips than Google, OpenAI, et cetera. So I don't know when that seems like a bit of a smoking gun if that's true, that the Apple just didn't buy enough chips. Tim Cook tried to get enough chips and the CFO was like, nah, I don't know if we need to spend that much money on that. They should have.
Well, you never know. They have a high bar of quality. Maybe the chips just weren't good enough. So, maybe they're just ensuring quality as Apple tends to do.
It's an interesting little nugget in there. Those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper into an ongoing story and follow up.
Well, if you use tech to read, you know Amazon, but there are other options out there. Tom sat down with Mallory O'Mara and Brea Grant from Reading Glasses and Reading Smut to talk about what they use.
Brea, Mallory, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
We adore Tom. Tom has been on our show a bunch, and so it's fun to come over and be in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's good to get you on the Tech News show because you guys have a tech segment of the show, and it's always fun to hear what you guys are testing out.
Sometimes we're just testing out candles and stuff, so it's not always extremely technical, but sometimes it is technical. But sometimes we go with like the oldest tech possible.
And I know people really know that, they know Kindle, they know Audible, and I think they know them to the extent that they may not know there even is another option out there. So I wanted to bring you all on to talk about that. Let's start with the alternative to Kindle. What is one of the biggest alternatives, Mallory, that you use?
The big one that a lot of people love, including myself, is called Kobo. It's owned by Rakuten, I believe is the company. And I mean, it's basically another e-reader service. They have e-readers just like Kindles. I'm a big fan of them, and it's the same sort of deal. It's the e-ink. It's they have color ones, just like the color Kindles, and they have an ebook shop just like Kindle has. The only big difference that is a little bit hard for some people is actually, speaking of reading smut, there are a lot of indie authors that are on Kindle Unlimited and are on Kindle only, but that is starting to change. But if you're looking for a cool e-reader that's basically just like your Kindle, you kind of can't go wrong with a Kobo. I've had my Kobo Libra for quite a few years now, and it's still going strong. I love it. The battery is great. I can read it inside. I can read it outside. I can read it in the tub because it's waterproof. Big fan of it.
Now, Kobo has an app as well, just like there's a Kindle app. So if you read on a phone or something like that, you can do that. Can you send books to the e-reader, the e-reader device that you have?
Yes, which is great. And you can sync it up with your library app. Brea and I are both big Libby users. So if you are someone who likes to read library books on your Kindle, it's the same thing. I have my Libby account synced up with my Kobo. So whenever I check out an ebook from the library, it immediately goes right to my Kobo. It's fantastic. It's awesome.
What do you do if you run into a book that isn't available somehow, either to send to the Kobo or to buy from the Kobo store?
You are sad is what happens. But it depends. But Brea's about to talk about a new ebook service that might be solving all of those problems. Because again, like I said, there are some Kindle Unlimited specific books, a lot of independent authors, a lot of smut, like we said, because Amazon, one thing that it does really, really well is it's a great publishing platform for a lot of indie authors. But that is starting to change.
If they are able to publish DRM free, you still would be able to get it onto the Kobo. It just depends on how it's published.
Yeah, I'm not a super tech person. There are ways to do it, but my brain immediately starts like short circuiting as soon as I think about that. But there are services to sort of get I have read a couple like PDFs on my Kobo. That's something that you can do, load it up with stuff like that. I just don't do it very often because again, I am a Luddite, which is very funny that I'm on the show.
Well, that's good. I think that proves that the technology is viable, right?
Yes.
And you don't run into too many situations where you can't read a book, it sounds like.
No, not usually. Most books any book by a big publisher that you want is going to be available on Kobo.
Yeah. Going from the e-reader to the e-store, Brea, I know you were going to tell us about an alternative for buying books, not just print books either.
Yeah. And well, first of all, just to add to what Mallory said, the library is a great alternative. If you are looking for a library for books and you don't want to get them from Amazon, go to your library to get physical books, go to your library to get ebooks. They are compatible with almost every e-reader. You can get books from the library. And they have an endless store and the books are free, which is something we really like.
And they have audiobooks, which so if you're looking for an alternative to Audible, Libby's fantastic.
I recently just checked out an audiobook from the LA Public Library. As a matter of fact, it was one that I couldn't find anywhere and the library had it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the great thing about the library is that I often find books that even print books that are not, or they're very expensive or I can't find anywhere else. Like you can often find them at the library, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And your library's website will have the app. If you're like, wait, what was the app again? Just go to your library's website.
But recently, bookshop.org, which is an online store that Mallory and I both really like. Mallory, they take a percentage. You pick the bookstore that you like,
or the book podcast,
or the book podcast that you like, and they give a percentage to that bookstore when you're shopping online, which is a really lovely thing. But they recently opened up an ebook store. They've only been print books up until very recently, and they launched their own app, so you can read that on your iPhone, on your iPad, wherever you like to read. They have an app. I'm not a big fan of reading on my iPad. I like e-ink. I'm not huge at, I don't like the lighting. It keeps me up at night, but I can read it on it during the day. Or we also recently tested out something called the Boox. It's Boox, which is an e-reader that's not like any of the ones we just talked about. It's an e-reader. It's also, you can take notes on it. It does a couple of things. It's e-ink, and they have the bookshop.org app. So you can download that app. You can read on e-ink on the books. I want to say books because it's BOOX.
BOOX, yeah.
So I always am like, no, it's books. It's books. I have the Onyx reader that someone sent us for our show. One of our lovely listeners, and it's great. I just read the new Hunger Games book on there, and it's great. It's like a little bit larger than the average e-reader, but it's no problem for me. I don't really care either way. It fits perfectly in my backpack, and was a great way to read a book. Totally bought the book completely independently through bookshop.org. It was great.
Books is based on Android.
It's Android,
that's one of the cool things about it is it's got any Android app. It's like you said, it's right. E-ink. So not every Android app's going to work that well, right? You're not going to watch, Netflix on it or whatever. But yeah, that is a great advantage to that. And we use bookshop.org on the Sword and Laser podcasts as well, because there are people who are like, do you have any other links for buying this stuff? And they're great for that because you can find pretty much every book that's in print there.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, any book by any major publisher. Again, sometimes indie books are a tough find, but if you're looking for like whatever new bestseller, the new Hunger Games book is very buzzy, the new John Green, whatever it is, it's going to be available on bookshop.org.
Yeah, and if you don't have time to go to your local bookstore, this is the next best option because it's supporting local bookstores.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up, a lot of people like to track their books, and I know that's opening a whole can of worms that we could probably talk all day about. But Goodreads has been one of the things that people have used for that. It's been kind of ignored by Amazon for the past few years, to be honest. What are some of your favorite ways to track what you're reading?
Well, we're big fans of Storygraph, which is another independent company, also women-owned, which we love. But it basically is just Goodreads. But the difference between Storygraph and Goodreads is you can do all the tracking just like you can on Goodreads. It tracks the title, author, all that stuff. But every month and at the end of the year, it gives you a graph of all the genres that you read, the lengths of the books. It's pretty cool. So if you are someone who likes data about what you're reading, Storygraph is the way to go. And we talk about this a lot on Reading Glasses, that Goodreads kind of feels like an abandoned mall right now, where Amazon bought it many years ago and kind of has not done anything with it. It just is, it's ugly, it's beige. Storygraph is really cute. And I'm sure a lot of listeners of your show are data driven. And if you're looking to find out a little bit more about your reading taste, Storygraph it's very easy to use. There is a web version, but the app is fantastic.
We also have both really started enjoying just personalized spreadsheets that also do a lot of data. We both love what's called the Cawpile system, which is you can look it up. Someone actually made an entire spreadsheet for it, and it uses numbers. You give ratings via numbers. You're based on plot and logic and enjoyment, and it gives you an average of what you rate each book. It's called Cawpile, CAW, pile, and other things as well. And it also gives you graphs at the end of the year, and it's just a very fun thing to get to fill out. We've kind of both gotten away from some of the social media aspect of
Goodreads
tracking, but still, I know that's important for a lot of other people, and there's a lot of outlets for that.
Well, like I said, we could talk about this a lot more, and I highly encourage people, if they want to hear more talk about this sort of thing, to listen to the Reading Glasses podcast and Reading Smut podcast as well. If folks want to find that, where should they go?
Anywhere podcasts are listened to. We're on every major podcast platform, where both of the shows are on our network, Maximum Fun, and Reading Glasses comes out every week, and Reading Smut comes out every other Friday.
Mallory, Brea, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
What do you want to hear us talk about on the show? One way to let us know is our subreddit. We get lots of great story ideas in there, conversations from folks. You can submit stories and vote on them at reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show.
Okay, business leaders, are you here to play or are you playing to win? If you're in it to win, meet your next MVP. NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is your full business management system in one convenient suite. With NetSuite, you're running your accounting, your finance, your HR, your e-commerce, and more, all from your online dashboard. Upgrade your playbook and make the switch to NetSuite, the #1 cloud ERP.
Get the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/tech. netsuite.com/tech.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, it's time for another message from RW in Wales.
RW writes, I have a Pixel 6a from release. The battery is still very good, and to be honest, I'm keeping it as it still does everything I want. Normally, 3 years would be an upgrade. However, good that Jason Howell and Wen Cui Dao are doing the review of the 9A. Your depth of knowledge shines through. Will there be a DTNS Vibe Coder t-shirt, tariff-free if possible?
Yes, Jason threatened to make a Vibe Coder shirt when I expressed my old lady developer
What should be on
reticence.
the t-shirt? Because we can make that happen. We can
I don't know. Vibe Code. What? I don't know. Vibe. I see. What? Lots of coffee.
We could have two different t-shirts, one for the Vibe Coder and one for the not so Vibe Coder.
Give me one of those. Give me one of those.
I like Vibe Code only, like good vibes only.
Good vibe coding only. And then the other one would be, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an old lady way of saying get off my lawn, get off my IDE or something with your vibe coding. I don't know. Something like that.
Get off my IDE. Yeah. There's something there. That's pretty good. Yeah. Your vibes and compile them.
There you go. I like that. I like that. We should, we can brainstorm this. There's a lot of good ideas there.
And send us ideas, folks, if you want.
Well, what are you thinking about? Vibe coding? Got some insight into a story? Share it with us. feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to Mallory O'Mara, Brea Grant, and R.W. Nash for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. The show is made possible by our patrons at patreon.com/DTNS. Want music news in less than 5 minutes? We got a new show for you, dailymusicheadlines.com. Go check it out. This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show Briefing were created by the following people: host, producer, and writer Tom Merritt, host and writer Jason Howell, co-host Rob Dunwood, co-host Jen Cutter, co-host Wen Cui Dao, co-host Shannon Morris, producer Anthony Lemos, producer Roger Chang, editor Hammond Chamberlain, editor Victor Bognot, science correspondent Dr. Nikki Ackermans, social media producer and moderator Zoe Detterding, our mods, Beatmaster, W. Scottus1, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, a.k.a. Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Luters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Tom McNeil. Our guests on this week's shows included Mallory O'Mara, Brea Grant, Sean Hollister, and thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Ever wonder what your lashes are destined for? The cards have spoken. Maybelline New York Mascara does it all. Whether you crave fully fan lashes with Lash Sensational, big, bold volume from the Colossal, a dramatic lift with Falsies Lash Lift, or natural-looking volume from Great Lash, your perfect lash future awaits. Manifest your best mascara today. Shop Maybelline New York and discover your lash destiny. Shop now at Walmart.